So we are Quilters HQ, Windmill Sewing Center, and Sewing Machines Express. The websites are quiltershq.com, windmillsewingcenter.com, and qhq2.com. Okay, so let's start with our block. Block 28. And you know what? I didn't put it up there because we were running late. Don't let me leave without putting the block up there. Block 28. This is a Boston Commons quilt. I cut this out with AccuQuilt. So I was reading through the directions, and they're saying cut these really big squares and then trim them down. So, and the thing that I didn't like about it is the bias is on the outside. But that being said, I cut this piece here. This is die number 5 with AccuQuilt, and the bias is on the outside. And so I'm going to show you how to get around that when you're doing a block like this, because we don't want the bias on the outside of the block because it stretches, and we don't want our block to be all wonky and wavy. So
both quilting terms.
Both very
Those could be the coupon codes.
So I'm just going to do some stay stitching, and all that is I'm just going to run these through one at a time right here on the edge. I've moved my guide all the way over next to my foot so that when I piece this block together, these stay stitches are going to be hidden. So you don't have to worry about them showing up in your quilt somewhere. And so I'll show you the difference. I'll stretch one a little bit when I get this done. And then we'll just fly through them. Okay, so by doing this, this doesn't stretch anymore. Even though it's on the bias, I mean, you can see the block can stretch, but this edge is not going to stretch. And this is going to be hidden in your seam because you're doing a smaller seam. So I'm all the way over at the edge of my foot. The 1/4 inch is a little bit to the right, so it's going to be hidden for me. So I'm just going to run through. There's 12 of these, and I'm just going to run them through real quick. Doesn't matter if they're straight. We did this on another quilt that we did in our club, and it worked really well for keeping that edges on that bias just straight. This is something that garment makers do all the time, stay stitching around like armholes and things like that to keep them from stretching. So this is borrowed from garment construction, but it's just a sewing technique and we can use it too. But if you want to cut your block out with AccuQuilt, I do recommend doing this because you don't want to have these little wavy things when you start to piece it all together. Comment if you've ever done a quilt where you've done stay stitching like this, or if this is a completely new technique for you. Okay, that's all of those, and I'm just going to trim that off. So the other thing I noticed as I was reading through the directions was that when they're talking about these squares on the corners, they were talking about cut 2 3 1/4 squares, cut the squares once diagonally to make 4 triangles, and please note triangles are oversized to allow for trimming. So instead of doing that, I just cut the same one and we're just going to sew them on and then trim them down. If we have to trim them down now or trim them down later, it's easier to cut them out with AccuQuilt using your die number 5. So that's what I did. So this is sewn in rows. And move over here a little bit because I can't quite see all of my...
Hey Patsy, welcome to the show. Hey Melissa.
My block here. And then I'm going to sew the corners on last because we have to trim those down anyway. And I might wait to trim those until after I iron them. And then I can just square up the block using my 12.5-inch ruler. And really, once you have all of this pieced, these can be attached at any time. I'm going to go ahead and attach them, and then we'll just square up later. So I'm going to start, and this is going to be sewn in rows. And so when I'm putting these together, I'm lining up this corner and then piece. And I'm going to piece again because I didn't move my guide. It's live. Anything can happen. I looked at that seam and I'm like, that looks a lot smaller than a 1/4 inch. Okay. There's my 1/4 inch mark. Let me just tighten this back down. Miranda, have you tried yours out yet? I know you just got one of these. And I'm going to piece this as I go, so I'm going to piece all my rows as I get them completed. Did use it and left it. Yeah. Seams are pressed in one direction, and then you alternate the direction with your seams. I do recommend laying this all out because if I didn't, I would absolutely mess these up. Just making sure I'm sewing on the right side of the block. Nobody wants to get a seam ripper out. I made a Boston Commons quilt once, and it is assembled exactly like this. It does take some planning, but they're so beautiful when they're finished. And I think with that one, I sewed all of my rows and then waited till the very end to attach my triangles because I was doing that, and as I was doing it, I was sewing them the wrong way, so I was having peaks and valleys instead of straight edges. Okay, we're going to go the opposite direction with our seam. And then attach this. Any new viewers tonight? So be sure and do all of the things with the buttons, like, share, follow, subscribe, notify. Did I miss any?
Click on the bell.
Click the bell. Have we come up with any coupon codes? Any good ones?
I don't know. What do you think? That, Linda, what's the name of that tool there? Multi-finger function presser tool?
So close. Multi-function finger presser tool, also known as the doohickey. These are $7.99 or $7.95, something like that. If you want one, comment "make it mine" doohickey, and we will get one for you. Because we do sell things on the show too. And yes, I pretty much use this every single show because and I have two at home because it's so convenient. Rather than walking over to the ironing board, I can do the whole block and then iron it later. I do go back and iron my blocks before I piece them, just because I like to have them really flat and make sure my seams line up and everything. But this does a good enough job for piecing. Oh, and we also have some floor model machines that we're going to be
All machines on sale.
discounting. We have some Janome long arm classroom models. If anybody is thinking that this is the right time to buy a long arm, you're right. Does Janome have any financing going on right now?
I don't know, Molly.
When I made my Boston Commons quilt, I did not have a sewing machine that had an automatic cutter. And it was, I didn't really know any better, but I'll tell you what, it makes a huge difference when you're making a quilt like this where you're just sewing one block to the next block, because we chain piece a lot, and this is one of those blocks that you just can't do that. Let's piece our next one. This has shorter sides. So have you made a Boston Commons quilt? That would be a question I would want to know.
Hey, Stephanie. Watching on the road. Okay.
Not driving, I hope.
That would be hard. Elizabeth loves her Juki. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth.
Stay with us for the giveaway, and I've got a new collection to show you. Presets anyway. Oops, almost sewed that on upside down. Wouldn't be the first time. Probably wouldn't be the last if I did too, so sometimes they just stay that way. Again, I'm just alternating the directions that my seams are being pressed. I think this is probably one of the easiest blocks we've done. In this quilt. I love it when a block looks hard and it's not. Look how beautifully that's coming together. What do you think, Robert? You like the block?
I think it's pretty cool.
I would love to see pictures if somebody else is making this in a different colorway.
Hey Karen, welcome to the show. Amy, welcome to the show.
Welcome. We are working on block 28.
This one's almost done.
This one is almost done and we have some fun stuff coming up. So be sure and like, follow, subscribe. All of that fun stuff so you get notified when we go live. We do have fabric sales and all kinds of fun stuff. Did I do that? Yep, did it the right way. We have some table runners coming up that we're going to make with AccuQuilt dies, which will be fun.
I think we are out of kits. Amy said she was in and we're out of kits for this one.
Yeah, we did 25 kits and we, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago sold the last one.
Yeah, sign up for the next one, Amy. We're getting ready to start a new one. And
yeah, be sure and sign up. We're always doing stuff, so resting my foot on the
you
pedal
did a little cut there.
and cutting a second time.
It's almost like magic. It was hands-free. You didn't see it.
I do like that it does that. I like this little machine. It could be just a little bit faster though. Again, I am just alternating the direction my seams are going. And almost done. Last row, and then the corners.
Linda asked if, in your opinion, does that presser work better than a wooden one?
You know, I don't know because I don't have a wooden one to compare it with. It is kind of that real smooth Teflon. I don't know if it's Teflon. It's a hard plastic, and this has got like little ridges, but at the very end here, it's really smooth, and it glides over the fabric really well. I don't have to push down really hard, and it puts a nice little crease in there. And we've never done this where you press your seams the wrong way with an iron. You got to go back and you iron it flat and then press it the other way. If you press your seam the wrong way, you can just open it up and press it again, and you can see it stays well enough to actually do your sewing. So it's not like the perfect crease that we would get with our iron, but it's good enough. I've never used the wooden one, so I don't know. I can't really make a comparison. But I have 2 of these at home. I can tell you that we have sold a lot of them, and people do enjoy using them.
Leader was on there. She's got 2 or 3 of them. Kathy Reeves has 24.
Yeah. I had to go look for the.
Display some, you know?
Oh, I had to go look for the one that we keep open in the store. Because I'm like, what's not Bilbo? Yeah, I'm like Bilbo Baggins. If I pick something up, I carry it with me and then set it down, and then I'm like, don't know where it is. So I have 2 of them, and I try to leave them at the sewing machine, and sometimes they wander. But so far. So with these, I'm just going to kind of line it up where, another handy use. So since I didn't, I'm just going to put a little crease in this block with my handy presser tool. And these are not permanent. So since our corner had to be trimmed with Moda's cutting instructions, I was like, I'm just going to use AccuQuilt to cut it out. So I put a crease in it so that I can line up the point. And then we're just going to attach it. And then trim it down later. And then just press this like so. And then you can take your ruler, line it up with the edge of your block, and just trim it off. So much easier.
Oh yeah, it's nice.
So let me just put my little crease here in these corner blocks. And we'll do all of them. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to use it to line up the center of the point on the triangle. So I can see my fold right here, and I'm just going to line up the edge of that triangle with it and sew the rest of these on.
John, have we talked much about our rewards program?
We have not.
I don't think we mentioned too much about it. Maybe how that works.
We do have a rewards program, and it is real money that you earn, sort of. It's store credit that you earn. So doesn't apply to sewing machines, doesn't apply to things that are on sale. Cabinets are excluded. But if you come in and you buy fabric and you spend $300 on fabric that's regularly priced, or you buy 2 fat quarter bundles, because that would be $300, then you get $20 to spend in the store. It doesn't have to be all at once. You can use multiple of them. So AccuQuilt too, because AccuQuilt's always on sale. So it's regularly priced items. And once you reach it, our computer system tracks it. Our point of sale tracks your purchases. And then once you reach that level, it prints out a coupon that's scannable on the bottom of your receipt. And you can come in and spend it like cash. So there's benefits for shopping with us. Free money.
Yeah, we appreciate the
free money.
Business as well. So
you buy one fabric for one quilt, you can spend $300.
yeah.
So there's $20 towards the backing. I was going to square it up with my 12-inch ruler, but my seams are pretty straight, so I'm just chopping off this corner. And if I'm off a little bit, I can always fudge it with my sewing machine. And that's all just rubbish. So there's our finished block.
Oh,
So pretty.
everyone on the show, have a great